What's going on, Vault Dwellers? It's Top Ranking Noob, and I'm back at it again with another helpful video for Fallout 76. Hey, if you guys want to check out some cool Fallout 76 gear, make sure you head on over to U4GM. I'm going to be putting their link down in the description, along with a coupon code that's going to be saving you 5%. Despite the latest patch, the shotgun inside Fallout 76 is still by far my favorite weapon. For a few reasons. One, it's just fun to blast things. Two, I'm a horrible shot, so a shotgun seems to be like the way to go for me. Nonetheless, the patch did have a big impact on my build, so I have changed a few things around today, and that's what I'm going to be showing you. And I'm going to be testing this new build with 3 different legendary shotguns, just to see how I want to move forward in regards to legendaries. If you guys find this video helpful, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, feel free to smash that subscribe button. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're working with today. Starting off with the basics, I got Shotgunner, Expert Shotgunner, and Master Shotgunner, each leveled up to rank 3. All 3 of those cards combined, fully ranked up, is going to give me a combined, a combination of a plus 60% damage off of my shotguns. So no change there, that's pretty straightforward and basic. Moving on to Perception, I did equip the Glowing Sight, and this is going to do 60% more damage against glowing enemies. Now, if you find that you're not currently fighting glowing enemies, you could just swap this perk card out for a Skeet Shooter, which is going to give you a little bit more accuracy on your shotgun. Which usually, if you got a shotgun, you don't necessarily need that much accuracy, but it's better than walking around with glowing sights if you're not killing glowing enemies. Now, under Endurance and Charisma, there's quite a bit of cards you can swap out. It's all about personal opinion there because it's not going to have a big effect. Intelligence, though, I'm going to be using Nerd Rage. That's going to give me more damage if I'm below 20% health. And then Demolition Expert, because the 3 legendaries that I'm testing out today are going to have explosive effects. So I'll get 60% more damage out of them. Next, I'm using Enforcer because everything I'm using is shotgun, and I'm not really one-shotting too many things these days, so Crippling a Limb is helpful. Now, Adrenaline is where I changed up quite a bit. In the past, I've only spent 1 perk point in Adrenaline because I didn't feel like the extra damage was necessary. At that time, 2-shot explosives were already overpowered. Now, given the patch, though, I have went ahead and invested 5 points into that one. And lastly, under Intelligence, I got Bloody Mess and, of course, Serendipity so that I have a little bit more chance to dodge some damage when I'm at low health. So I haven't changed a whole lot as far as the build, just a few key points that I moved around. Now, in order to keep a fair comparison, I'm going to be testing 3 different legendary shotguns today. I'm going to be testing the 2-shot explosive still, which I've done in the past. And then I'm going to be comparing it to an Instigating shotgun as well as a Bloodied shotgun, all of which are pump action. So here I'm starting off with the 2-shot explosive. Now, with base damage, I'm running 342. That's not accounting for things like Adrenaline or the Glowing Sights. As you can see here, these are level 50 Mylarks, and I'm still one-shotting them. So, I mean, this is still a pretty valuable weapon in-game. Now, when it comes to fully level, like level 68 Scorched, it might take about 2 shots from the looks of it, assuming that I can actually hit them. Which, if I was any good at actually hitting them, I probably would be using a better weapon than a shotgun, something like a rifle. But since I'm a bad shot, I stick with my pump-action shotguns. So when it comes to the 2-shot explosive, it's pretty controversial. I honestly think that after the patch, this is a pretty balanced weapon the way it is, especially if you got a good build. Although it's probably not necessarily the best weapon in-game anymore, and that's why I'm going to be comparing it to a couple of other legendary options. So let's start off by talking about what's probably my new favorite. This is the Instigating shotgun. I still got an explosive effect on it. So with that, it's still doing less damage. It's actually doing 287 compared to the 348 of the 2-shot explosive. Now, this is a great weapon if you're doing a lot of soloing because every time you shoot the first shot, it's going to do 100% more damage. So that means that the first shot, as long as they're at full health, the enemy's at full health, this is going to be doing about 564 damage on the first shot, if I did that math correctly. Now, that's usually enough to take down your more basic enemies with 1 shot, so you shouldn't have to be dealing too much with mole rats and things along them lines. With your more complicated enemies, you're probably going to have to do 2, 3, or even 4 shots, because after they're no longer at full health, this weapon's going to go back down to the 280 some odd damage that it's doing. Here you can see why I usually wear power armor while I'm shooting videos, so that I'm not dying every 10 seconds while I'm filming. But the other thing to note is I don't have the glowing sight perk card active like I should as well. I swapped that out for the skeet shot. Now with the glowing sights perk card, I'm going to be increasing my damage against glowing enemies by 60%. And in this particular event, I'm fighting glowing enemies, so this is going to help out quite a bit, probably allowing me to one-shot them. Let me also hop into my power armor so that I'm not dying every 10 seconds while I film this video. Alright, now with all that equipped, and now that I'm actually set up and prepared like I should have been before I started filming, we should be able to test the same exact setup again against these enemies, and this time, boom, they're going down with no problem. So with the Instigating explosive, you still have the ability to be pretty overpowered, and I'm liking this weapon especially for solo playing. Like I said, 90% of the time when you're playing solo, most of the enemies you're going to encounter are going to be at full health, so this weapon's going to really be able to tear some stuff up. And even if they're not at full health, I mean 200 and, what did I say, 84, 87 damage, that's still quite a bit of damage, so you shouldn't have to be doing an ammo dump every time you get into an engagement. Now this weapon's probably not the best weapon to go up against some of the larger bosses with, simply because, like, just say the Scorch Beast Queen, the Instigating effect's only going to have an effect on enemies with 100% damage. So if you find yourself in a group where most of your enemies aren't at 100% damage, or you're fighting a bigger boss like the Scorch Beast Queen, then it really nullifies the legendary effect for Instigating. And for that reason, we're going to be comparing another pump-action shotgun today. And of course, I'm talking about the weapons that are only left for the brave-hearted, the Bloodied pump-action shotguns. So with Bloodied Weapons, you're going to be doing more damage at the expense of maintaining a lower health. So the lower your health is, the better your damage will be. Now, I only had a level 5 pump-action shotgun for this video, but luckily after I started recording, a buddy of mine was willing to lend me his max level pump-action shotgun that has the Bloodied effect on it. This is Bloodied and still does explosive, so it's a perfect comparison to the legendary shotguns that we're doing today. And of course, I got all the same mods put into both of these weapons, so you can see that both the Instigating weapon and the Bloodied weapon, while I'm at full health, are both doing 261 damage at the moment. What I'm going to do is bring my health down deliberately to see exactly how high we can get this damage output. Now, of course, I'm going to be dropping below 20% health just so that the Nerd Rage gets activated here. And the best way to keep your health down, of course, is to just be radiated. That way you never exceed the amount of health that you want to risk. You can be above 20% health if you don't want to be at risk of dying with every single hit. So, I mean, this effect still works if you want to stay at 50% health, so on and so forth. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be trying to keep my health at about 20% or less. Now, my damage seemed a little low, and I realized I had to put my gunsmith on to mod out these weapons evenly, and that's why it was so low. I had to go back in and put on the demolition expert, and that actually brought the damage of both my Instigating as well as my Bloodied shotgun back up to where they should have been. So as I sit here and consume, you can see I am at 287 for the Instigating. That makes a lot more sense. And I'm at 430 right now with the Bloodied. And of course, I'm going to be bringing my level a little bit lower here, trying to get that Nerd Rage active. There it goes. All right, so with Nerd Rage active, I should be good to go. Let's pull up my Pip-Boy and see how much damage we're doing now. So we're at 619 damage, base damage. This isn't accounting for things like, let's see, look at that. iBot, level 1. We can do a one-shot on an iBot. So yeah, we are overpowered for sure now. But this isn't accounting for things like glowing sight or, of course, adrenaline. So those, of course, will also be boosting these damage rates up depending on the event that we're in. Now, it shouldn't be a surprise that I can take out level 47 Scorch Beasts with just about one shot, even if they're at a pretty far range. I might not necessarily one-shot each and every one of them because, of course, this is not a high-ranged weapon, but even if they're at a far distance, I'm really doing some serious damage to them. So this is a pretty powerful weapon. You're just kind of at risk of dying a little more often, especially if you're up close and personal. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get up close and personal, because we're not always going to be far away. Here I got level 68 Scorched, and they are awesome enough to just be standing together in groups, so it's saving me on bullets. All in all, I mean, this weapon just tore them apart. So definitely OP still. So despite the fact that the two-shot explosive has been nerfed, it's still very possible to get OP with the shotguns in this game, which is awesome because I just don't want to go melee. You can see right here I'm breaking over 1,000 damage. That's because of adrenaline, and we got ourselves a glowing enemy. This is the downside if you're sitting there looking at your Pip-Boy and not paying attention. You don't have a lot of health, so you could get tore up the second that you're not paying attention in game. Nonetheless, we can respawn. As I respawn, my damage is all the way back down to 487 just because I respawned with more health. I'm above 20%, so I don't have Nerd Rage activated. But nonetheless, I'm not one-shotting these guys, but 3 rounds just so happen to take both of them out. So this is a pretty solid weapon buildup, if you don't mind running around with low health. After killing him, I'm at 800 damage, and I'm not paying attention again anymore, and this is what happens. They start tearing me up. But they triggered Nerd Rage, and I was pretty much one-shotting them again. So again, this is a pretty solid setup. If you don't mind running around with low health, you can really tear some stuff up. Me, I'm not 100% sold on it, just because I don't like running around with low health, especially since I do a lot of recording and stuff like that. I don't want to be dying all the time because it makes for very unepic videos. For that reason, I think if I'm soloing, I'm going to be personally sticking with the Instigating pump action shotgun. But this is a pretty solid, Bloodied is a pretty solid setup. Just for funsies, I wanted to see, now that I had that all set up, what my Bloodied level 5 pump action looked like. I'm getting like 270 rounds out of this guy. It's a pretty impressive level 5 weapon. Of course, if you're at level 5, you're not going to have all of those perk cards that are going to be able to bring that up to 270. But nonetheless, can you imagine being a level 5 and running around with this weapon? I'll probably end up finding out if I start a new character. Nonetheless, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you guys are still considering shotgun builds even after the patch, maybe this has given you some ideas of what to aim for. If you guys did find this video helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you can think of any other weapons, particularly shotguns in my case, that you would like me to test out, let me know down in the comments, because I'm thinking maybe I should try out things like Junkie and whatnot. So if you got any preferences, let me know. Once again, I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll see you all next time.